Welcome to Pieces for My Puzzle. I am your host, Nikki Ship, and I'm excited to be sharing with you my life with a son on the spectrum. This podcast is for anyone who is looking for quick tips and perspective, but most of all, for hope and inspiration. So sit back, relax, and let's put the pieces together. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Pieces for My Puzzle. I am your host, Nikki Ship. Thank you so much for joining us today. Last week, we spoke about going out of town without your kids. So hopefully you got some great quick tips and how to prepare and set you and your child up for success so that you can also go and enjoy your vacation. This week, we're going to talk about how to bring a dog into your home with a child on the spectrum. This subject is very near and dear to my heart. We waited a long time to bring a dog into our home. Drayson was 8 when we got our sweet little Boba, and who I'll tell you about more in just a minute, but we just absolutely love her and adore her, and she has been not only great for Drayson, she has just been good for all of us as a family, and I'm so glad that we finally decided to bring a dog into the home. I wanted to give you guys some quick tips on how you can set yourself up for success because this was a big hurdle for us personally to overcome. Drayson had a lot of phobia with dogs. I mean, terrified of dogs. If a dog was across the street on the sidewalk across from him, he was, running or, wanted us to hold him, or he just was terrified of dogs. And we're not really exactly sure how or why or when he became scared of dogs. He got used to some dogs. My parents have dogs, so we would take him over to see my parents or my sister. He was familiar with their dogs, but strange dogs in general, even if they were just on a leash walking by, he had a really hard time being okay with just a dog in proximity of him. So we really, really had to overcome this obstacle. It was very difficult for us, but we knew that we had to do it if just even out in society, if he was going to be okay with a dog around or even in the room. So I did some I did some digging, and I actually found some interesting research. And so I found that 67% of families with autistic children had dogs, and of that 67%, 94% of parents reported their autistic child had formed a special bond with their dog. And that was really big for me because I wanted Drayson to formulate a different type of bond other than just the bond that he had with his brother, with me, with his father. So I really decided to take the flying leap on this. The benefits of having a dog with a child on the spectrum, there's so many of them, but the biggest ones for me is that you can help provide additional interaction, unconditional and non-judgmental love. I mean, you could leave the room for 5 minutes, right? Anybody who has a dog knows this. You'll leave the room for 5 minutes and they're happy when they see you again. And I wanted Drayson to experience that. It also can provide some companionship, and it's a great way to also get him involved in the day-to-day care of Boba with our pet. And so I think that it was definitely a good thing. It was not easy for us at first by any stretch of the means. We also have some really close friends that have dogs, and it was hard for him to even walk into the house or be in the house when we would go over to visit with their dogs. So this was a huge, huge hurdle for us. So here are some quick tips to help you guys get set up in case you are thinking about a dog. The first is to do your research. Talk to your care team about maybe any agencies that you know that can help with resources, and think of the following questions. Will the dog need to be socialized? Does the child need to become socialized to the dog? And we worked out with our care team on ways to get Drayson used to a dog in the home. We let them know that we were thinking about getting a dog, and so that the care team could also maybe set up goals or be aware that we were going to be making this transition with Drayson. And that's really, really important. The second thing is decide what kind of dog you're thinking about, not just the breed, but also is it going to be a puppy? Is it going to be a trained dog already? Because there are agencies out there that you can, purchase a dog that's already trained for special needs. Or is it going to be a rescue from a shelter? It needs to be a personal decision, and it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It has to be the best decision for you and your family. And the reason why I say that is that we had some friends that were almost upset with us that we didn't get a rescue. We chose a different route, and we had to explain why we felt that was in our best interest to do that instead of getting a rescue. So just keep that in mind. And I'm going to give you some of our justifications just so that you can better understand. So here's why we didn't go with a rescue. We didn't know their background or know if they may or may not have any bad behaviors. And the reality is, right, we already deal with enough behaviors enough as it is with our kiddos, right? So I didn't want to potentially inherit more behaviors that I may or may not have to deal with. That was just too much for me personally. And their history. Have they been around kids? Have they ever been around a special needs child? Are they familiar with maybe some of the behaviors? Have they been socialized to any of that? And that was a big concern for me. We didn't decide to go with an agency that trains dogs either. And the reason why we didn't decide to go with an agency is, and honestly, the bottom line, it was just the cost. The cost can be very expensive, and we researched it. The research that we came across, and we're in Arizona, we even looked outside of state. So we looked in Colorado and California, other states that were near us too, at some agencies that train dogs. And they have to have the dog for a considerable amount of time, usually 10 months to a year. And the cost ranged. I mean, if it was a shorter amount of training, it was around $3,000. But we found one agency that we really fell in love with, but it was $22,000 for a dog. And that was difficult. And when you have enough bills as it is, right? You have medical bills, you've got therapy bills, you've got all these other things that you have to circumvent and deal with. That was really, really a tough decision for us. But the bottom line for us was that it was the financing for it. And so we decided to pick a puppy. And some people, it's funny when you tell people, oh, I got a puppy, they go, oh, God, good luck. Here you go. And it's true. Puppies are a lot of work. But we wanted to have Drayson to have a puppy so that he would have someone to grow up with. We wanted the puppy to also be used to his behaviors early on. That was a really big deal for us. And we knew that it would be a lot of work, but we were willing to commit training and being hands-on. And we found that if we could be involved in the training and being hands-on, then we could also involve Drayson in the training and also being hands-on. And so all around, it was something that as a family, we were able to collectively come together and do. So that was a very big deal for us. And so we decided to go with a puppy. A puppy is not the best option for everybody, but that was the best option for us and our family. So what is the best breed for autism? That is a question that we get asked before, we've heard before, and most say it really depends on you and your family and your child, which it does. And although there are service dog breeds out there for autism, and some of the most reliable and tested canines when it comes to helping children when it comes to helping children with special needs, it doesn't mean that other dog breeds and mixes aren't a good fit. But I did do a little digging, and these are some of the things that you should probably look for. But I'm going to also read to you some of the most popular types of dogs we have found for in the service industry to help special needs kids. And you probably are familiar with lots of them already. First of all, golden retrievers, right, is on the top of that list. St. Bernard also I found within my research. Labradoodle, which those are adorable. My cousin actually has one, and I love them. They're so cute. Collie, German Shepherd, Bernese Mountain Dog. That was a little bit of a surprise to me. A Samoyed. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but I think I did. Samoyed. Newfoundland. A Beagle, which I love beagles. I've always wanted a beagle. Staffordshire Bull Terrier. A Poodle. And Great Pyrenees were some of the ones that I found on the list, which I thought were really interesting. Things to look for within a dog, though, is a good temperament, the ability to be trained, the right type of maintenance for you and your family that dog may need, and the energy level that your family that is suitable for your family, right? Because energy level can really, you want to make sure it's synonymous with your energy in the home, and one that will also match your child's energy and personality. That was a big deal as well for us. So what did we end up with? I named all these dogs here on the list, and so you're probably like, well, which one did you pick? And we actually didn't pick any of those on the list. We actually went with a mixed breed. We actually decided to get an Aussie Corgi, and her name is Boba. And I just adore her. I love her to death. It's funny, though, when you tell people what type of dog you're going to get, it's funny, there's a lot of misconceptions that sometimes can come out. But we felt that this was going to be a good fit for us and our family, and that's why we chose Boba. So she's a fantastic family dog. She's had training. We've gone to puppy school. Drayson has also been involved in a lot of her care. The great thing about Aussie Corgi mixes is that they're friendly and they're very tolerant with children, as well as other animals. She does get territorial, like with older dogs. I have noticed that, but she just loves to be around Drayson. She will sit next to Drayson. She will comfort Drayson. And this particular breed, this mixed breed, when you read up about them, you'll find that they're fiercely loyal and they want nothing more than to protect you. Historically, they're also known for herding or being guard dogs. And so she does herd. It's really funny. She loves to keep Drayson in line. She does herd him a little bit, but she's very gentle with him. And we noticed that Dee talks to her, and he will also stop stemming if he sits next to her. So if he's sitting with her, he doesn't seem as fidgety. He also looks down and talks to her. She has a very, very bubbly personality, a high energy level, but that was perfect for Drayson. Drayson has a lot of energy. He likes to move around a lot. And she's very friendly with others. She has to be front and center of everything. I jokingly say this all the time, but anybody that knows Boba, if there was a social committee for dogs, she would be the president of the social committee. She just has to be in everybody's business. She just wants to say hi and be friendly and loving. And so that's exactly what we wanted for Drayson. So no matter what decision you decide to make sure that you do your research and you decide what is the best option for you and your family. And don't forget to talk to your care team too, maybe other healthcare providers that are involved in your son or daughter's care, and ways to implement goals and strategy so that you can prepare yourself and set yourself up for success when you decide to bring a dog in the home. This concludes our episode for today. Don't forget, as I've mentioned on previous podcast episodes, we have our new Red Zone t-shirts. If you're not familiar, you got to check them out. And I'm going to show you guys one for those of you watching. For those of you listening, I'll describe it. But it's just a black t-shirt with some white font on there that says, "I'm in the red zone," with a really cute, adorable little wine glass and some little red sparkle in there to show the red wine. And for those of you that are familiar with identifying emotions through color, you'll know that red usually means angry or upset for someone if they're trying to identify their emotion. So this is kind of my fun spin-off for all of us parents on how we can also be in the red zone at times when we need to be, when we need a little bit of an outlet as well. So if you'd like to get your hands on one of these cute, adorable t-shirts, you can email us at info@piecesformypuzzle.com. They're $25 plus shipping, and we would love to ship one of these gorgeous little t-shirts out to you and have you wear it with pride. And it can also be used as a tool to help awareness. People will say they like the shirt and they'll ask maybe what it means, and you can explain how color is used to identify emotion with your child on the spectrum. If you have a story about your child that you'd like to share with us, or maybe you have a question that you're curious about hearing about on our show and you wanted more information about, please feel free to email our show in at info@piecesformypuzzle.com, and we'll get back to you shortly. Feel free to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already at Pieces for My Puzzle. And if you like what you're hearing, please spread the word to others in the community, whether they need help with resources, hope, or inspiration, or maybe it's just someone that wants to learn more about autism. Please feel free to tell them about our show. And also, feel free to leave us a good rating on your preferred podcast platform of choice if you haven't already. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, keep working on your puzzle, and remember, you don't have to have it all solved in a day. Take care.